There was a technical glitch. Sorry for the inconvenience caused. Okay, so in the virtue framework, you identify the character traits, the positive, negative, and then you look into it as I was discussing with you over here. The advantages are it is actually advantages in the case that it is useful when you're trying to seek who is asking the questions or who is trying to resolve the problem. It also takes into account all parts of human experiences and their roles in ethical deliberation. Here what happens is you take into account everything as a part of being human that you have experienced or other humans who have experienced such things, and all these things are taken into account when you look at this kind or when you try to take a decision with this kind of a framework. Next thing that happens over here would be that usually what happens is your the environment in which you have been brought up emotionally and as well as the cultural environment have a huge impact on your decision making ability, which comes into being at such a time. So there's a reconnecting question that we have over here. As I said, this unit we don't have the yes and no questions. Here you have to think logically. So which of the three frameworks do you think are better to use and why? Right? I'm giving you a few minutes. You can type your answers in the chat box. Okay, we've got a few answers. That's nice. So the ethical decision making process, please mark this as an important question from the exam point of view. So here you cannot change the order because it is a chronological sequence. You cannot change the sequence over here in this case. So kindly look into it that you mention the proper sequence over here. So what are the steps? First thing is you take time. You take time to define the problem. Then consult resources and seek assistance. The next step is thinking about the lasting effects. Then you have got consider regulations in other industries. As I said, you have to look up to examples from other places as well. Had this happened with industry X, industry Y, or industry Z, what would have been done, or what would they do in our place, right? And then you also need to look into taking up a decision, marking a decision. How would you act or enact in a particular way? And last, implement. Note, your duty does not stop at just taking the decision. You have to implement the same as well, because without implementation, it is of no use whatever so decision you have taken. It would be of no use if you don't implement the decision, right? It would be of no use at all in such cases. Right. Next, please mark this as very, very important from the exam point of view. Please mark this as very important from the exam point of view. Over here, Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development. It's the most important question and could be asked in the exam. He has given a theory of moral development, how you take up decisions in different phases of your life, how you take up decisions in different phases of your life. So he has Kohlberg has proposed that the thinking of a person develops throughout his or her growing period, that is through from childhood and then moving ahead. And he proposes that this theory is based on how people start thinking at a very young age and then how they move forward with it. Okay, how people start thinking at a young age and then how they move forward with it. Now usually the decisions that younger children take up, usually the decisions that younger children take up would be based on the consequences that might occur. You know, if let's say if you have seen young children at your home, if you have seen young kids at your home, how would they take a decision? They would take a decision by looking at the results, the consequences. Let's say the parents would say, "Oh, you do your homework, we'll treat you with a chocolate." The child would be excited to do it. That's the consequence part. That's the part where the child thinks, uh, in a way, what would be the reward he or she would get in case of a particular situation or in case of a particular task that they accomplish. Okay, this is how children tend to think. This is how usually almost every child would think, in a similar kind of a pattern, right? That's from that place itself Lawrence Kohlberg developed his theory of moral development, from this kind of a observation that you have in your general life. Is from where he took up the strengths of his theory, right? How his theory would work, or what kind of things he would have thought for when he decided upon making a theory for the same. Usually when you, like as I said, younger children make their judgment based on the consequences, whereas when you take older children, they would make judgment based on their intuitions. Older children would make judgments based on their intuitions and not on the consequences. You intuit, right? Let's say some of us would have had an intuition that if I work in a particular way, or if I do something like this, I might get a result. You work on your intuitions and you don't work on the consequences. Whatever would happen, you don't work on your consequences. So he actually gave this is the actual theory which we need to write when the question is asked after this introduction, right? So he has given three levels. He has given three levels of moral development, and each of these three levels has two sub levels. Each of these three levels has two sub levels. So in total there are levels six levels in the moral development theory as given by Lawrence Kohlberg. Remember, this is the theory that Kohlberg has given. There are many other theories also available, but this is the most prominent one, uh, which is in use and which people look up to when they think about moral development in children. Okay, this is the one which is mostly used. Now, which are the three levels? Remember, here you cannot change the chronology because it is a level-wise development. Remember, here you cannot change the chronology because it's a level-wise development. That is pre-level, then conventional level, and post-level is the highest. Now, even in the sub-levels, you cannot change the chronology because it is going to gradually increase. The thinking gradually increases. So, in the pre-level, you have two sub-levels which are known as punishment, avoid punishments, and self-interest. In the conventional level, you have two sub levels which are known as getting people to like them and maintaining functioning in society. And in post conventional level, again you will have two levels which are known as rejecting rigid laws, and sense of justice. Sense of justice is the topmost part in the pyramid of thinking. Okay, now let's look at each level and sub level in detail. So the pre-conventional level, remember the pre-conventional level would happen at the elementary school level. Remember, the pre-conventional level would happen at the elementary school level. There you have two sub levels. The first is avoiding punishment. Students usually, or children usually, do work so that they can avoid punishments. Children usually do work so that they can avoid punishments. They are not punished in any case, is what they would think about. When you take the thinking level over here, the idea over here is to obey their officials, some higher official. So who is this official here? In this case, it is either the parent or the teacher. It is either the parent or the teacher whom the student wishes to obey. Right? Obeying is one of the first things that people do, so that when you obey somebody, you don't have to go through a punishment. Right? When you obey people, you don't have to. When you listen to people, you don't have to go through punishments. That is the basic idea over here by younger children. Remember, here it is at the elementary school level. The thinking is over here is at elementary school level. The second level is self-interest. Here decisions are taken keeping in mind the rewards that are given. People would look towards rewards. The young kids here, the young children would look towards the rewards that are given to them. Here what you try to do is you try to benefit and make the best, try to pull out the best things for your own self. A little self-interest. If you look at the term itself, it says self-interest. The idea here is to develop a positive relationship and also fit into the societal order. Okay, so the order of the society, how one should behave in a particular manner in the society, that has been told, right? Parents tell you, don't put your fingers in your mouth, sit quietly, don't speak all the time, don't interrupt. That's what it is over here. Next, you have the conventional level. Conventional level thinking happens at the primary and the high school level. Conventional level thinking happens at the primary and the high school level of thinking. Usually here what people would think is they'll take decisions based on certain situations. Decisions are taken based on certain situations. Situational decisions are being taken, right? They'll think about people liking them. There is an age, okay, people should like us, people should invite us to their place. Things like that occur in this age, in this age of primary and high school, right? You like being popular, you like being accepted in the society, right? So first level over here is getting people to like them. You want to impress people with your behavior, you want to impress people with the way you take decisions, you want to impress people in different manners, right? Here sometimes the decisions that the individual takes may or may not support the law, may or may not support the law, right? And then the second level over here in the conventional level is maintaining the functioning in the society. Every society has a rule which is set up. Here by society we mean to say civilization. We don't mean to say the society in which you live, but rules that each and every civilization has set up, rules that we would like to follow to be a part of the society, to be a part of the civilization. Sorry. You try to maintain social and social order in the society, you try to be a part of the society. That is what happens over here. And the last is the post conventional level. Here rejecting rigid laws, this actually happens after high school, you know, the age when you start thinking on your own, you are not directed by somebody to think. This kind of thinking happens in that case. Now what happens over here? Rejecting rigid laws. Now what happens? Change. Remember, change happens. So you want to get rid of laws that are rigid. You're trying to change rules upon your own opinions and based on the humanitarian values. And what happens over here is things that have been coming or been followed from ages, change occurs, right? This is the place where change occurs, the youth make a change. And the last is sense of justice. The last one is sense of justice. This is the pinnacle, this is the highest stage of thinking that one can have. It is actually where a sense of justice is felt, you know, you feel like justice should be made. Right? Here the thinking process is free from external factors. Right? So you're not influenced by anybody, but you are taking a decision on your own. When I say you, any individual could be, right? So this is the last stage of thinking. So have you ever experienced the different stages of decision making as suggested by Lawrence Kohlberg? You may type your answer in the chat box. Any one stage you have think. All have gone through different stages. So whatever you have experienced, you may let me know. Okay, all of us would have gone through this kind of similar situations. Maybe we are not able to recall right now, but that's fine. You may look through it. So with this, we end unit number 4. Do we have any doubts, questions, or queries? No, fine. Then we'll move forward with our quiz. Just give me a moment. I'll paste the quiz link over here. There you go. You have the quiz link for today. You may start attempting your quiz now. Excellent work. I see everybody has completed their quiz. So tomorrow we'll have the unit test for unit number 4. I'll upload all the PPTs on the Google Shared folder. By the time you gave your quiz, I've already marked the attendance. I'm going to speak out the absent numbers. I'm going to speak out the absent numbers. The absent numbers are enrollment number 1, 6, 9, 12, and 19. These are the absent numbers. 1, 6, 9, 12, and 19. Fine. So tomorrow we will have the unit test for unit number 4. So we call it a day over here. Thank you, class. Have a nice day. Thank you.